My name is Elena Vargas. I am 31 years old, the eldest daughter, the mediator, the problem solver. In my family, being useful means being silent. If someone breaks something, I fix it. If someone cries, I pay. My sister Valeria has 4 children and a halo. If she sneezes, they applaud. If I bleed, they say, "You can handle it alone." At my wedding, Mom smiled as if she were blessing me. Then she said, "We're going to give the apartment your husband's parents gave you to your sister." Valeria laughed. "Relax, it's just a place to sleep." Dad added, "She has 4 children, be mature." The fork stopped in midair. The room froze. That was the moment something inside me finally stood up too. If you have ever had to choose peace over guilt, tell me in the comments. I grew up learning that love came with bills, not hugs, with obligations. When something broke, Dad would sigh and say, "Elena will fix it." When Valeria cried, Mom called me to comfort her. When I cried, she told me, "You are stronger than this." In our house, strength was never a compliment. It was a job title. We lived 12 days behind on every bill, 12 months behind on every plan. Yet Valeria always had new clothes and Mom called it balance. I was the responsible one, which meant invisible. If I said no, it was attitude. If I asked for space, it was disrespect. Every boundary became a family meeting. At 16 I was already babysitting Valeria's children. At 18 I paid her phone bill. At 22 I sent money for emergencies that lasted years. Dad called it family. Mom called it love. I called it exhaustion. They said, "Anyway, you're never home." That sentence followed me everywhere, to university, to rent payments, to birthdays I missed because I was too busy fixing theirs. The more I gave, the smaller I felt and the quieter I became. They called it peace. But peace should not feel like disappearing. It should not sound like silence pretending to be love. It was not peace, it was maintenance. And I was the one holding the tools. Every family has a role. Mine was to be the repairer, not the daughter. Adulthood looked like lists that finally ended. Wake up early, run, coffee, work, breathe. Discipline kept the old noise out. Or so I told myself. Then I met Lucas. He laughed with his whole face. Asked questions, not favors. He brought granola bars in case I forgot to eat. His parents owned a bakery. They argued about flour like surgeons debating instruments. They gave without keeping score. When they offered us an apartment as a gift, I felt my ribs loosen. 2 bedrooms, a small balcony with space for 2 chairs, a door that locked from the inside. We had not signed anything yet. The Monday after the wedding they said, "Only if both of you want it." They added, "No conditions, no debts." I told my family at Sunday dinner. Mom smiled like a perfumed patient. "How nice," she said, "and practical. Valeria can use it when you travel." "It's ours," I answered calmly. "Anyway, you're never home," she replied. That sentence always wore slippers in our house, always soft, always sharp. Valeria began treating the apartment like common property. She texted asking for the visitor passcode. It's easier for picking up the kids. She asked for keys for emergencies. She posted ideas for the balcony on Pinterest, hanging chairs, herb planters, and tagged me with hearts. When I reminded her we had not signed yet, she sent laughing emojis. Details. She wrote, "Be a team player." The week before the wedding she called me 12 times. "Can the contract be in my name for taxes?" Her voice made theft sound like teamwork. I said, "No, absolutely not." She sighed as if I had slammed a door. "Anyway, you're never home," Dad repeated. He texted later, "A good sister helps." I had become a good sister by disappearing. That role benefited everyone except me. Lucas noticed how my shoulders lifted. He touched my arm, calm and firm. "We can say no," he said. "And we can say it without apologizing." I practiced in front of the mirror. "No, not this time. Our home, our keys." The night before the wedding I looked again at the balcony photo, 2 chairs almost touching. A space small enough to belong to us. Mom wrote in the family group, "Apartment plan after the ceremony." No question mark, only certainty in pixels. My chest tightened like old stitches. I turned the phone face down. Lucas placed a sweet bread in my hand. "Eat," he said softly. "Tomorrow we choose the door." I slept and woke dressed in peace and rehearsal schedules. I ironed the dress that would not wrinkle. I breathed as if preparing for weather. I planned everything I could control, the tables, the cake forks, the exit song, the goodbyes. I forgot you cannot schedule entitlement. The ceremony was ready. Photos were ready. Cinnamon in the air. Children running with napkins like capes. For a moment I almost believed we were safe. Mom approached with her advertisement smile. Dad behind her, arms crossed like ellipsis points. Valeria laughing, bright and serene. Mom said, "We're going to give the apartment to Valeria." My brain stopped. Forks hung in the air. Lucas's hand tightened around mine. Valeria fixed her hair. "Relax. It's just a place to sleep," she said. Dad dropped the hammer. "She has 4 children. Be mature." That sentence had lived in our house for years. It walked through every Christmas, every emergency. Today it walked down the aisle. The reflex rose like muscle memory. Smile. Make it easy. Say we'll talk later. Fix it in silence. Bleed in private. Lucas moved first. He removed the ring calmly, without drama, and placed it beside the coffee thermos. "Before we sign anything," he said quietly, "let's be clear about who decides on our home." The room tilted toward him. Mom did not blink. "Darling, you're new here," she told him. "You don't understand how we support each other." "Yes, I do," Lucas said. "I've watched Elena give up weekends, her salary, and her dreams. I've watched her get erased for being reliable." Valeria rolled her eyes. "Oh please, it's just a place. Don't make drama." My voice came anyway. "It's not your place," I said. "It's ours." Dad leaned forward, warning tone. "Watch how you speak to your mother." I breathed the old knot. "I'm speaking to the plan, not the person." "Anyway, the answer is no." Mom's eyes sharpened. "After everything we've done for you, we're not going to count scores today," she said. "Today is about boundaries," Lucas replied. Valeria laughed. "Sharp. How selfish. 4 children, Elena." "I know their names," I said slowly, "and I will not keep financing your emergencies out of habit." Mom's voice dropped to steel wrapped in sugar. "Do you think you'll keep it like this? Women who divide families don't last." Lucas did not look away. "She is not dividing anything," he said. "She is ending an extraction." The silence stretched. I took the ring, closed it in my palm, and looked at the faces I had calmed for years. "My home is not a communal pantry," I said. "My no is not cruelty. It is maturity." "Grow up again," Dad muttered. "I just did," I answered. Mom recovered quickly. "We'll handle the paperwork on Monday," she said. "It's best for everyone." "For you," Lucas said, "not for us." We returned to our table like a normal couple. Suddenly the cake tasted like oxygen. On the other side, my parents spoke to all the relatives. Valeria typed furiously. Nothing changed, the sentence floating in the air. "Our home, our decision." My voice refused to disappear. I did not make a scene. I did not shout. Those are not my moves. I stayed inside my decision. I felt the lock turn. I heard a door close. That day ended the conversation, not the war. The next morning my phone vibrated like an alarm. Missed calls. Family chats. Demands disguised as love. "Dad, family meeting. 4 o'clock. Don't be late." Valeria, photo of the children. "If you love us, prove it." At noon we signed with the notary. 18 minutes. Smell of lemon cleaner. A manila envelope that smelled like future. At 1:58 we parked in front of my parents' house. "Together," Lucas said. "Together," I answered. Inside it looked like an audience. Mom in the armchair. Dad tense. Valeria with a notebook. The TV on mute. On the fridge, a new list in my clear handwriting. Call the plumber. Fix the sink. Check Valeria's car. Mom cleared her throat. "This will be quick. Give the apartment to Valeria for a year. Then we'll review. Anyway, you're never home." "No," I said. Dad tensed. "Don't speak to your mother like that." "I'm speaking to the plan," I said. "The answer is still no." Valeria offered an alternative. "Pay me $100 below market rent. Aunt tax. The children need stability." "I'm their aunt," I told her. "I will not be your second source of income." Lucas's voice was gentle. "We are not negotiating our home." Mom's smile cracked. "Do you think you'll keep it like this? Women who divide families don't last." "Lucas," Dad said, "if your sister-in-law ends up without a roof, it will be your fault." "She won't," Lucas said. "She has options." Valeria's eyes filled with shine. "You don't understand how hard it is." "Yes, I do," I said. "I've been financing hard for years." The silence fell like dust. Mom stood up. If you walk out now, you are no longer family. If that is the rule you need, I said, okay, I love you, we're going home. We left with the envelope. The air smelled like truth. In our building, the hallway echo sounded like beginning. 2 bedrooms, a small balcony, a future on laminate floors. I placed the keys on the counter, then in a drawer. Practice so I would not leave them out. The following days were noise disguised as concern, messages about pressure. About crying children, posts about people who only appear in photos. I replied once, I love you, I will not discuss the apartment. Saturday, a familiar knock on the door, too fast. Too sure. Elena, Mom called, open up. Valeria, the children need to use the bathroom. We did not move. We sent a message, please do not come without notice. We are not home. A lie and a boundary. I stayed still and did not apologize. We made hotcakes. We ate slowly. The phone vibrated face down. Inside our door we hung a note. We want this, a ritual before every yes. I exhaled and heard the room without applause. Without sirens. Just a Tuesday arriving. The breaking point was not a slammed door. It was a click. 2 weeks later the phone rang less, not silent. Just quieter. The guilt messages still fell like rain. I learned not to stay outside. We built a routine without apologies, coffee at 6:15. Run if it was not raining. Eggs and yes. We argued about the squeaky key, then laughed. We oversalted the pasta and still ate it all. We named the balcony plant maybe it lives. Maybe it does not. Inside the door the note remained. We want this. A pause large enough to breathe. On Sundays I called my nieces. 20 minutes. If they did not answer, I tried again. The following week, love was no longer a chase. At the supermarket I saw Mom, smaller than I remembered, hands on the cart as if she might escape. Are you happy? She asked carefully. Without hardness, only tiredness. I am honest, I told her. You are not the girl I raised. She whispered. I know, I answered. I finally grew up. We stood there between the hum of refrigerators. Without judgment, without audience. Just 2 women learning a new language. I do not want revenge. I want closure. I want a love that is not a bill. I want a home that is not a debt. Back in the apartment the lock sounded. An ordinary and sacred click. Lucas left a bag of oranges. He kissed my forehead like a period. The air smelled of silence and citrus. I placed 2 chairs on the balcony. I did not leave a spare key just in case. I finally believed the door had the right to close. If your family ever called your boundaries betrayal, you are not alone. Tell me how you chose peace so someone else can find theirs. It was not revenge. It was a Tuesday where no one has rights over the door. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.